Hi, welcome to Know the Score. My name is Nancy Levy. I have an internet marketing business called Virtual Fundamentals, but I'm a long-term volunteer with SCORE. I've been involved with the agency for 5 years. Love the work that they do, love being part of the group. And today I have the pleasure of speaking with Russell Thompson, who is also a volunteer for SCORE. How long have you been?
About the same time. We must have come on board about the same time, 5 years, I guess.
Yeah. And Russell today is an attorney, and he works with small businesses and getting their structure set up for them. But I understand from the things we learn about each other in SCORE that you had a background long before you were an attorney. You were in windshield wipers.
Yes, I manufactured windshield wipers. I was in business for almost 26 years. I was a CEO and part owner of the business and kind of worked my way up through the company. So I'm one of those, I say, dangerous people, a little bit of knowledge in a lot of areas.
But that's good because, too, if people are looking for mentoring in that area, was that manufacturing?
Yeah, manufacturing, product, marketing, all the things associated with we sold retail windshield wipers. We sold to, the Kmart, Walmarts, Pep Boys, all of the big box retailers. So.
Well, great. And then what made you decide to go into law?
Well, I got my law degree at nights while I was working there. So I had my law degree for 10 years while I was still with the company running the business. And then we had an offer to have it purchased. So we sold out and we remained for about another 2 years with the earn-out. And then after that, I had my law degree. I always knew I enjoyed law and wanted to do that. So I just opened up a little small office. I'm a little solo practitioner, just keeping busy doing law.
Where is your office?
In Sunrise.
Okay. And what is your website?
fortheinjuredonly.com.
Okay. So today you're going to help us understand the structure, the different business structures, legal structures for businesses. And why don't we start out with sole proprietorship? So if you could tell us, what are the pros and cons for sole proprietorship?
Yeah, that's what I tell people if they're interested in starting a business. I'm a big believer in keeping it simple. And start out simple. And if you're not quite sure where your business is going to go, the growth potential, start out as a sole proprietor. And when you operate as a sole proprietor, you're operating under your own name. But obviously you don't want to use your name. You want to use a DBA or doing business as, or a fictitious name it's called, and you register that fictitious name with the state of Florida, and that allows you to open up a business bank account. So now you have a business name, a business bank account, you're operating formally like a business, but from a legal standpoint, it's you individually. And people say, oh, well, what about limited liability? Everyone thinks they form a corporation for limited liability. You limit your liability by buying liability insurance. So even if you're a sole proprietor, you want to make sure you have liability insurance. And
that's not the first time I've heard that.
Oh, yes. It's not necessarily as expensive as people think. Your run-of-the-mill business can probably buy $1 million worth of liability insurance for $500 or $600 a year. It's not real expensive. Now, obviously, depends on the nature of your business. If you have a real dangerous business, it's going to be more expensive. But run-of-the-mill business, $500, $600, $700 a year, and that's how you limit your liability.
Okay. So, how would they register as a sole proprietor? They go to sunbiz.org?
Go to sunbiz.org, and there's a little drop-down menu for filing, and you want to file under fictitious name. That's a DBA or doing business as. So you just register whatever, you pick a name and say, Russell Thompson, I'm going to open up a lawn service business, Superior Lawn Service. So it's going to be Russell Thompson, comma, doing business as Superior Lawn Service. I register that name, Superior Lawn Service, in whatever county or counties I'm going to be doing business. And then you have to advertise it in a business, you advertise it in a business journal, which is very standard. So it's $65 to register with the state, and I think it's about $60, $75 to advertise it and then you get a certificate from the state, and that allows you to go to a bank and open up a business bank account, and you're in business.
And you're in business, right? Okay, so now take us the next step, LLC. What's in pros and cons for that?
Well, the next step is a legal entity. It's not necessarily an LLC. It could be an LLC or it could be a corporation. The trend is moving towards LLCs, limited liability company, because it's more flexible in management style. It's not as formal. It's a little bit easier to operate. So with an LLC, you register with the state of Florida. You now have limited liability as long as you operate your business properly, because you always a nasty attorney pierce the corporate veil and come to you individually, so you have to be careful. So if you have a limited liability company, you register with the state of Florida, a couple $100 a year, and you're operating as a separate legal entity. Or you could be a corporation, which what we call a C Corp, or just a standard corporation, and it's the same limited liability, but instead of having members like a limited liability company, you have shareholders. So it's a different structure, a little bit more formal. And as I said, the trend is moving towards limited liability companies.
Okay, and do you need an attorney involved in setting that up?
You don't need an attorney if you're an individual. If you're 100% owner, nothing to worry about. But if you're going in business with somebody else, you have to have an attorney, because you now have to protect yourself from that other party. We all get married, right? It's supposed to last forever. Half of them end in divorce. No different business partners. Everything's fine when you start. And usually the problems come when you're successful. It's not when you have a problem. It's when you're successful. So everyone starts, that's not what I remember. I ain't supposed to get more, or I'm not supposed to invest as much. So you want to have all that in writing, and that's when you need an attorney. But if you're by yourself, if you're the 100% owner, you've got nothing to worry about. It's easy enough to do by yourself. You can go online and do it. But if you've got other partners or investors with you, you'd probably want to spend a little bit of money with an attorney.
And so say you did want to hire an attorney to do it for you because you find it intimidating or whatever, what kind of price range would you say?
Well, if it's two individuals and you want a buy-sell agreement and a couple of different operating agreements, you're probably between $1,500 and $2,500. I mean, if you can go to an attorney to form a corporation, and they'll probably do it for $500, but that's just forming the corporation. That's just sending the document. You can do that yourself. It's those other documents, the buy-sell agreement, the operating agreement. Those are the agreements that are important to define the relationship with your partner. The other thing that's important with either an LLC or corporation is your tax status.
Sure.
If you just form a corporation, you're a regular corporation, and at the end of the year you have to file a corporate income tax with the state of Florida, and you have to file a corporate income tax with the IRS. If you elect to be subchapter S, tax status, that's a separate document. You become a corporation with the state of Florida, at sunbiz.org, and then there's another document that you file with the IRS. It's a simple little one-page document to elect subchapter S tax status. And when you select subchapter S tax status, although you're a corporation, you're going to file your income tax on your own income tax return. So SCORE does a whole workshop on that topic, the legal and tax implications of starting a business. So there's a lot more involved than what we're talking about today, and if you're going to do that, it's probably worthwhile taking that workshop. I used to teach it. We now have an attorney who's also a CPA who teaches it, so it's a very good workshop if you're interested in that.
Yeah, definitely. I think that, Russell, you did a wonderful job explaining the different structures, but obviously we do a short video here, and to get more information, definitely go to that class. In 3 hours you're going to learn a lot more of the pros and cons. And
And there's really a lot of other structures, and we talk about them at that workshop. You can become a partner. If you're not a corporation, you could be a partnership. If you and I go in business, even if we don't write a piece of paper, we're a partnership just by the fact that we're doing business together. But there's also limited partnerships where you do have limited liability. There's all different levels of partnerships out there. And then there's other corporations. There's a new one in Florida called the Benefits Corporation. The Benefits Corporation is kind of a hybrid between a corporation, a for-profit corporation, and a non-profit corporation. Non-profit corporation, you form a non-profit corporation with the state of Florida, but you still have to file 501c3 documents with the IRS to get that tax-free, to be able to make donations and get a tax deduction for it. So there's a little bit more involved in that. But there's a new one called the Benefits Corporation. And a Benefits Corporation, I don't see a lot of benefit in myself personally, but people do. The purpose of a Benefits Corporation is, let's say you're going to go into business doing something that's good for the it's not a non-profit. You're going to earn a profit, but you're doing something good for society or for ecology, or you're going to sell only ecologically sensitive products.
Which is becoming more popular.
It's becoming more popular, and what people are doing is they're becoming a benefits corporation, so that they get greenwashed, they call it. So you get that, that notoriety on the benefits corporation, but you don't really operate as a benefits corporation. So if you are a benefits corporation, there are some additional reporting requirements, because you have to truly be transparent, and the purpose of your corporation has to be to benefit society. And the other benefit of being that type of, or advantage of being a benefits corporation, is if you're a for-profit corporation and you have shareholders and you're a director and you're doing something that benefits society at the expense of your shareholders,
right,
you may be not holding your fiduciary duties.
Sure.
So if you are going to be in that type of a business, you do want to be a benefits corporation, because that relieves you of that liability, because your shareholders know you're doing something to benefit society and not necessarily to benefit the shareholders. So it's, as you say, it's becoming more popular. They're out there, and they just started it last year here in Florida. So
well, great.
It's now available in Florida.
Yeah, I really appreciate you providing that information. I would suggest to our listeners that you can go to broward.score.org to look at the workshop schedules to find when that workshop is available, or sign up free of charge for a mentor,
Yes,
to help you get through that process. And good luck as you move forward with starting your business. Thanks.